right, we have 6 public hearings here tonight. We're going to take them all in order. If anyone wishes to speak, come up to the microphone, state your name and address. Make your comments. Try to keep them to 3 minutes, and they'll be considered and answered during the public hearing portion if they can be. And then after that, we'll lead into the regular plan commission meeting. All right, so we'll open the public hearings at 6:34. Roll call, please.
Chairman Osterman,
Here.
Supervisor Plotecker,
Here.
Commissioner Ilhafen,
Here.
Commissioner Nelson,
Here.
Commissioner Mouche,
Here.
Commissioner Everly,
Here.
Planner Sumwalt,
Here.
Attorney Macy, Engineer Lysis is present in the audience, Administrator Nicholas,
Here.
and Clerk Pazzo Ketch to record the minutes.
Thank you. Notice was given that public hearings would be held by the Lisbon Plan Commission on Thursday, January 5th, 2023, starting at 6:30 p.m. at the Richard Young Memorial Fire Station at North 54 West 26455 Lisbon Road to solicit public comments on the following. We have public hearing number 1, a request by owner applicant Pete Erickson for a conditional use permit to allow excavating for the purpose of improving wildlife habitat in the C1 Conservancy zoning district on the property located at North 51 West 26871 Arlene Drive, LSBT 0271.003. So this public hearing tonight, we are holding the public hearing. It will be open to questions. There's no presentation at this time. The applicant has asked that it be held open until the May 4th Plan Commission meeting. Is there anyone here or on Zoom who wishes to speak? I'll have my
No one on
open.
Zoom.
No one on Zoom. Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this one? No. Was that one then at 6:35? Go to public hearing number 2, which is a request by owner applicant Pete Erickson for a major grading conditional use permit in the R1 residential zoning district to place fill spoils from a wetlands to improve wildlife habitat in the property located at North 51 West 26871 Carleen Drive, LSBT 0271.003. We have the same conditions here tonight. If anyone wishes to speak on this public hearing, anything you want to state? Anything
No
from
one
the
on
board?
Zoom.
Anything from the board?
None.
No.
No.
All right, we'll close that public hearing then. Or we'll put, actually, I said that wrong. We're not closing them. We're postponing them to the May, adjourning to the May 4th at 6:30 here at the Richard Young Fire Station on both of those. All right, that leads us to public hearing number 3. A request by applicant Neil Pfaff for your Becker on behalf of owner Robert Ream Jr. for Pizza Ranch for a conditional use permit for a restaurant in the B4 Commercial Special Use Zoning District on the property located at North 62 West 22045 Leeds Lane, LSBT 0241.999.005. I don't know who's leaving this one off.
Sure. So this is a request for a conditional use for a Pizza Ranch restaurant. This property is within the Business Park East development. The applicant and their agent are here this evening. And the proposal is to develop this new restaurant. It will have a typical dining room area. It will have a game room area. It will also have a pickup window on the south end of the restaurant. The site plan has parking. They've provided a landscape plan that meets all the requirements for the design standards. There's exterior lighting, and the applicants also provided elevations that show possible sign locations. There's a place on the site plan for a possible monument sign at the intersection of Leeds and Town Line. Access would be off of Leeds Lane. There's a future connection to the adjacent pedestrian easement, I guess, pedestrian access easement that's going to go to the high school. So this development will connect to that. And there'll be a bike rack at that location as well. The restaurant is allowed as a conditional use in this zoning district. There's also subsequent conditional use for major grading associated with the development. The property will have a swale along the north lot line that drains to a bioretention facility along the east lot line to handle stormwater on the site. The applicant's agent can speak more to that, being the engineer that helped design the site. So we have, in addition to the CUP site plan of operation application, which we can get to later when we take up that business item, unless you'd like me to speak to that now. But this conditional use permit is for the restaurant use in this zoning district.
You can just cover whatever is needed to be statutorily.
Yeah.
Any questions from the board right off the bat?
No.
No. Anything from the applicant?
Since the middle of the building has changed slightly, the pickup window.
If you would,
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Since we made this application, the building has changed slightly, and I do have a new layout. The pickup window is still to the south, the entrance is still to the east, so it's a minor change. The building actually reduced in size, just slightly.
I can put it up on the screen.
And I also have handouts if you'd like.
That'd be great. And then once they have the handouts, if you could sort of walk through the minor changes for the record, that'd be good.
And just explain the rationale to what people have.
Now that everyone has the handout, if you compare this site plan to the site plan that was in the packet, you'll notice that the site looks very, very similar. The rationale is to reduce the size of the building for cost basis. And in general, the site has not changed other than the square footage of the building. The building did extend slightly a little longer to the north and south. The pickup window is still on the south side of the building, and the entrance is still on the east. Everything else exterior from the outside of the facade regarding the parking lot has not changed.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah. Roughly how much did the building decrease? 1,000 square feet. How much? 1,000 square feet. Okay.
Sir, good evening. Did, in view of, these changes that you're mentioning, did the number of parking spaces and or the inside seating capacity of the structure change? Because it was approximately 130 plus parking spaces, and I believe you had seating capacity for 230 some individuals.
Yeah,
You know.
the parking spaces have remained exactly the same compared to what was in the packet, 137. And the seating dropped to 200.
To 200.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have anyone on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Right. Anybody here have any comments on this item?
Mr. Chairman, the only question I have is on the one. I got so much paper here. On the one side of the building, which I believe is the north side, Is there any way of putting something there? It appears like there's nothing along that whole north face other than a wall. Is there anything architecturally that can be done on that wall? Have something,
Oh, the entrance is to the east.
to the east, yes. It just seems like it's along on the renderings. The north wall. The west elevation, you at least have the pickup window, but more of the public is gonna be viewing the north elevation, and there's nothing there much architecturally at all. I mean, it's just like a big brown wall.
You sound like me.
Yeah. What he just said is we didn't want any windows in the fun zone. Because they don't want light entering that facility, which is in the northwest corner of the building. But windows are planned. There are actually 4 windows shown on the northeast of the building. I don't know.
I'm just looking at the renderings here for the north elevation. There's nothing there on that whole wall.
And
Even fall windows.
Sure, if you look at the second page of the handout that I just presented, is actually the floor layout. And then there's a north arrow on that floor layout. So that north wall is what you're looking at. So the fun room is to the northwest,
Right.
and then to the northeast, you'll see 4 windows along that. So it will be broken up some.
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying windows, just something other than the majority of the public's going to see the east elevation of the building and north elevation of the building. Correct? Just something to break up that whole north wall. I mean, even if they're fake windows or something to break up. You got a whole brown wall, nothing. I'm just wondering if there's something that can be done along that.
What the owner just said, or Bjorn just said, is having the fun zone sign to break up that wall to add decorative on that side would be an option.
Just something. I don't profess to be an architect. My taste is in my mouth. I'm not, but it's just like looking at a big brown wall with nothing there to break it up to do that. And I realize you've gotten a lot of extensive signage on the south and east elevation, which I understand. I'm just, if you could do something to break up that north side.
We'll take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll take a look at that and pass that on to the architect.
because that's what really fronts the street. So if you could do something to break that up, I think it would help the building look better. We don't need any more signage. I mean, you've got enough on there on the other 2 sides, which is fine. But that's my only other comment. Otherwise, I'm fine with what you presented. Thank you.
Anybody with anything else?
Just, thank you, Commissioner Eberly. Just for the record, and just as we're looking at both the new plan and the plan we had, east is Town Line Road and north is Leeds Lane. And it's, so I understand. So the north face would be the one that Commissioner Eberly is, it's just a blank wall. Obviously, when people see your structure, they're going to see it from the east road, not so much from Leeds Lane, even though that's the access point. Because Leeds Lane is back off of F, even though it exits onto both F and Town Line. But yes. But your pickup window, as you're saying, sir, is still going to be on the south side of the building.
Yep, then you can see it noted on the.
Yeah, okay. In other words, towards that private property or towards Sussex Hamilton.
Correct.
All right. Okay.
Chairman, if I may, I think part of the confusion is that Neil, on the original renderings that were submitted, the elevations were mislabeled as far as the direction.
Oh, I see.
So some of the commissioners might be thinking that, you know, what was labeled as north, which does not have as many, you know, windows or architectural design features, is actually the west elevation.
Sure. Yep. This should be the south wall. with
Yeah,
the
so
Okay.
that, so we've got up now, what's
Okay.
labeled as west is actually south.
Sure.
What's labeled here as north is actually west.
Oh, okay.
And
All
then,
right.
Well, that solves my.
Yeah. The architect might have had that just
right,
mixed up and I didn't
Right.
check their north arrows on the.
Yeah,
So
that,
then-
that addresses, and that changes the whole
Yeah.
paradigm.
Then,
So then
that's fine. Then-
the elevation that's labeled as east is actually the north elevation.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me look.
East
at
is
that.
north, north is west.
Yep,
Well, thanks for catching that, Or.
yeah, so,
Orin, this is unacceptable.
so the elevation that's labeled east elevation is the north one. It has a parapet
Okay.
wall with a space for the Pizza Ranch wall sign.
So the east is what?
And
now?
it shows the windows. East is
south?
north towards Leeds. What's labeled as east would be the north elevation that would
Oh,
face
okay,
Leeds,
now I
Leeds
feel
Lane.
better.
The north arrow on the civil set and the set I just hand out is correct.
Yeah.
This is, the civil set's correct.
Correct.
It's
So
just
the
the-
south elevation is, it's labeled on the renderings here
Yeah, incorrect.
is east?
Correct, that would be the front that would face town line.
Okay. You just made my day.
All right.
Cause I'm going like, why would you put the front of the building? It looked like a,
So apologies for the confusion.
Accepted.
thank you. I
Thank-
withdraw
yes.
my comment.
Yeah, thank you. Ditto.
I thought this was as adequate.
Any other comments or questions from the plan commission?
No.
And there's nobody in the audience. And no one on Zoom still? We'll then close that public hearing at 6:51. And open the next one. Public hearing number 4, request the applicant Neil Foster Becker on behalf of owner Robert Rim for Pizza Ranch for a major grading conditional use permit in the B4 commercial special use zoning district related to construction of a new restaurant on the property located at North 62 West 22045 Leeds Lane, LSBT 0241.999.005. We're leading this one.
So this major grading permit is necessary based on the amount of disturbance associated with the development of the commercial building. This is not anything concerning to staff, and nothing out of the ordinary. I'll defer to Mitch to give any details on that.
I mean, just in general, we have some design review comments that we have. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not yet.
I saw it,
Okay,
just the.
so we would,
Sorry, we're gonna have to share the microphone.
that's okay. So in general, we have some design review comments both on the civil plans, the stormwater management plan. Nothing I think is out of the ordinary at this time, but we would like those obviously addressed as a condition of the approval for tonight, so.
Questions from the commission? Right. We still have nobody in the audience for this. Does anyone wish to speak on this? No one on Zoom still? All right, anything else from staff? All right, we'll close this one then at 6:53. And move on to public hearing number 5. Request by owner applicant Jeff Osgood for Quick Trip Inc. for conditional use permit for convenience store with fuel sales in the B4 commercial special use zoning district. In the vacant parcel located along Leeds Lane, known as LSBT 0241.999.013.
This is in the same vicinity as our last item. This is also in Business Park East. This is at the intersection of Leeds Lane and Main Street. The Quick Trip use of a convenience store with gas sales is allowed as a conditional use in the B4 district, also subject to the design guidelines. The applicant is here. Should there be questions from the Plan Commission for them? The Plan Commission has reviewed a few of these Quick Trip developments in the town in the recent past. So this proposed layout and store design is similar to what the Plan Commission has previously seen. There will be tweaks to the landscaping to meet the design guidelines. The applicant is requesting 24-hour operation for this gas station. So the Plan Commission needs to consider whether or not that's appropriate for this particular store at this location. I know there have been discussions regarding hours for some of the previous stores. This particular facility will have, in addition to a canopy for gasoline pumps, a canopy for diesel pumps as well. The idea is that this particular area is adjacent to some prominent industrial uses that would need that particular service. So we can talk about more details when we get into the site plan of operation component for this particular item, unless there's other questions.
Questions from the commission? Joe?
Two things. On page 3 of the site plan of operation, I just want to make sure I'm understanding. Under item number 8, it says there's no food or soda vending machines. What constitutes a vending machine? I mean, I just want to make sure there's two things there that bother me. That's number 1, it says no. Is a soda dispensing machine not a vending machine?
Sure. Troy Malezba, Director of Real Estate with Quick Trip, 1626 Oak Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin. I guess when we fill out the application, there's facilities that have vending machines outside.
Oh,
In the past, we've had a red box machine, which we consider a vending machine, but we don't have soda vending machines, those type of machines outside of our store. Anything we have would be inside the building.
so a soda dispensing machine is not a vending machine. I just want to make sure you're covered. That's the only reason.
Correct. In our eyes, we call it a fountain beverage station. So I guess the old school service station with the 50 cents, you drop the quarters in and hit the button and get the can of Coke.
Or in my day, the actual glass bottles. Okay,
That
that's
too.
fine. The other question I have is item number 12. You've got in here number of spaces, parking spaces allocated for employees. You have 8 max, even though you've got 25 to 35 employees over a 24-hour period. Is that correct? You're only gonna have,
It is correct. That's the most we'd need on a shift. So our overall staff would staff the store the entire week. That higher number would cover those from Monday to Sunday or Sunday to Sunday, if you will.
Yeah.
So that total number of employees, but we wouldn't have them there all at one time.
I understand. Okay, I just saw that low number.
Oh, good question.
That's the only questions I had, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anyone else?
No.
Jeff?
No, I'm good.
Brian? No. Becky?
No.
Right. Anything else from staff at this point? Is there nobody on Zoom still? Anybody here in the audience for this public hearing? Cannot believe there's nobody here for this public hearing.
Yeah, amazing.
Oh, hearing no other comments, we'll close that public hearing then at 6:58. What a public hearing number 6, request by owner applicant Jeff Osgood Quick Trip Inc. for a major grading conditional use permit in the B4 commercial special use zoning district related to construction of a new convenience store with fuel sales on a vacant parcel located along Leeds Lane, known as LSPT 0241.999.013.
So it's similar to the Pizza Ranch proposal, the development of this commercial building and site will disturb an area that passes the threshold for requiring a major grading CUP. And I'll again defer to the town engineer to bring up any specific items for that.
No, again, we completed a technical review of the site. The plan set, the stormwater management plan. Again, we do have some comments. Those were forwarded over to their engineer. We would look for those comments to either be addressed or plans be revised in order to approve this project, I guess, or a conditional to condition it based on their comments.
And we do have a condition to that extent in the materials presented to the plan commission.
Questions or comments from the plan commission?
No.
None? I thought you.
No.
I just, oh, sorry, no,
No,
I thought you were looking for something. Brian, anything?
no, I'm sorry.
Becky?
No.
My bad.
I'm
All right.
too quiet.
Anyone here in the audience wish to make any comments? Anyone on Zoom? Well, we'll close this one then at 7 o'clock. If you would have told me we were gonna get through 6 public hearings in a half hour, there's no way I would have believed you. Right, we'll call then to order the regular plan commission at 7 o'clock. Item 2 is citizens' comments. Anyone wish to make any citizens' comments? We have nobody on Zoom still. Item 3, approval of the minutes of the December 1st, 2022 joint public hearings and plan commission meeting.
So move for approval.
Moved by Joe to approve. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Ed Nelson, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimous. All right, 4, new business. A, discussion necessary action on the request by owner applicant Pete Erickson for the property located at North 51 West 26871 Carleen Drive, LSPT 0271.003 for the following. Conditional use permit to allow excavating for the purpose of improving wildlife habitat in the C1 Conservancy zoning district. And the major grading conditional use permit in the R1 residential zoning district. To place fill from a wetland scrape to improve wildlife habitat. So this is the one that we are asking to be postponed until May 4th. Any questions or comments, or is there a motion table to May 4th?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
And Nelson.
Second.
Table Until May 4th, second by Jeff. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Ed.
Ed.
You're welcome.
Here's unanimous. Item B, discussion necessary action on the request by Neil Pfaff, Becker on behalf of owner applicant Robert C. Ream Jr. for Pizza Ranch for the property located at North 62 West 22045 Leeds Lane, LSPT 0241.999.005 for the following. Conditional use permit for a restaurant in the B4 Commercial Special Use Zoning District. A major grading conditional use permit in the B4 Commercial Special Use Zoning District related to construction of a new restaurant. And the site plan and plan of operation for a restaurant in the B4 Commercial Special Use Zoning District. All right. Well, the conditional use permit for a restaurant in the B4 Commercial Special Use Zoning District will be the first one. Any questions or comments? Anything else from, obviously nothing new from anybody, but I guess I asked, is there a motion on this item?
We're gonna do these one at a time.
Yeah,
Okay, then I'll move for the conditional use permit approval. A restaurant to be for commercial special use zoning district.
is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Ed Nelson, any final discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. And item 2 is the major grading conditional use permit. Is there any questions or comments on that, or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the major grading conditional use permit in the B4 commercial special use zoning district related to the construction of a new restaurant.
Becky, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brian. Contingent upon the engineer's comments.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a second okay with that?
I am okay with that.
All right, any discussion? Anything else from you, Mitch? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Item 3 then is a site plan and plan of operation for a restaurant in the B4 commercial special use zoning district. Any questions or comments on this?
Just very quickly, Mr. Chairman, before it passes up, I was impressed. There is obviously a single family property to the south of this site. And I did see in the literature provided that there's going to be a fence between obviously the southern part of your parking lot and that property, and I appreciate that. My only concern would be traffic that will exit off of Leeds Lane, but that, no further comment on that.
Anybody else? Is there a motion on this item?
I've just got a couple things
Go
to
ahead.
bring up. So, as part of the, site plan and plan of operation, design guidelines prescribe that commercial uses not have any parking in the street yard. This is a corner lot, and based on the design, and the layout, there is parking in the street yard. That's not an issue, but the plan commission needs to determine whether the proposed parking in the street yard is appropriate for the proposed commercial use. And whether the approval of a waiver to allow that is appropriate.
We'd have to make that a condition of the conditional use.
Yeah, it could be just part of the motion for the site plan of operation.
And Oren, for the record, looking at the parking lot per se, what part of that whole parking process are we looking at? What part of the lot? The south?
This would be the north and the east. So towards Town Line and towards Leeds.
Okay, where the handicap parking is to the east?
Yeah. So what the applicant has done is really beef up the landscape plan to screen the parking from the view from the right of way of those two roads. And the landscape plan has come a long way to help achieve that and to meet all the design guideline requirements. So staff's comfortable with the request.
Everybody, how's everybody feel? Jeff, are you good with it?
Well, do we have can you see the updated landscape plan?
So the one that's in the packet is the stuff.
Yep.
Because it did look. Quick question on that in terms of your plantings, et cetera, not specific to what evergreens or hardwoods you would plant. Does the company have a record of maintaining those plantings after they're planted? Because what I will sometimes see in industrial or restaurant sites is the plantings are put in, they're maintained, but not maintained if, for example, we get into a drought or a dry period. And then all that money goes down the drain because they die, the trees die. Okay. All right. So there is a process where. Okay, thank you, sir.
Anything else, Ron?
No.
Any questions from the commission? None.
No, Mr.
No.
Chairman.
the motion should include the waivers as well. Correct.
Correct, yeah.
Thank you.
How should it be worded? Waiver?
Is it in your motion? In your proposed motion?
It's in the comments. I don't think it's in the proposed motion right now. So we'd be looking at a second. Yeah,
So what they're saying, I believe, is that any motion would be to approve, subject to the satisfying all of the town planner and town engineer comments, and to grant the waivers as necessary and as set forth in the staff. report.
So moved.
That do it?
yep, it does it.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried unanimous. Thank you. Look forward to seeing that sign go up. Item 5, unfinished business A, discussion necessary action regarding the request by applicant Jeff Osgood Quick Trip Inc. for an extension of the conditional use permit to allow major oh,
Four C.
I skipped 4C, I'm sorry. I started writing it down on the bottom there. Discussion necessary action on the request by owner applicant Jeff Osgood from Quick Trip Inc. for a vacant parcel located along Leeds Lane known as LSPT 0241.999.013 for the following conditional use permit for a convenience store with fuel sales in the B4 commercial special use zoning district. And then we're gonna have the major grading conditional use permit in the B4 commercial special use zoning district related to construction of new convenience store with fuel sales. And then the site plan of operation for a convenience store with fuel sales in the B4 commercial special use zoning district. All right, so first up will be the conditional use permit for a convenience store. Are there any questions or comments on that?
None.
Anything else from staff on that one?
Mr. Chairman, I have a few comments I'd like to make. I was particularly impressed if the renderings of the drawings submitted are accurate, that you're working up to the top of the canopy. No problem with the car wash, because of course, that whole area is on soil and water, so we don't have that issue with, well and drawing down our aquifer or the water table. Seems like you're on the retention ponds, well addressed in terms of runoff from the site. The only thing I would suggest, you have a pole sign that's in the drawings. And given that, given the location, it's rather level on Highway F where it's going to be located. I know there's an exit off of, I believe it's Leeds Lane and then also onto F again, but the station will face north, if I'm correct. So it would face, obviously F. I would like you to consider putting in a monument type sign, such as you have in your station up on 164 and Q, as opposed to a pole sign. I just think they look better. And there are basically monument signs in that area for the other businesses that are located on in that commercial stretch.
Technically, that would have been brought up.
Yeah, technically.
So here's the problem with this one, Ed. The proper time we should have brought this up would have been in the public hearing.
Oh, okay, well, my bad.
Could it be in there?
Doggone it. Doggone it.
Yeah, the site plan of operation has a condition regarding signage, just that essentially the petitioner has to come in and apply for their sign permit through the town. Meet all the sign code requirements.
What's gonna be the proper procedure here, John, so we don't screw this up? We have to
Yeah,
come
at the
back.
very least, we should wait till the next agenda item, site plan and plan of operation, or
Okay.
Okay, no, I have no problem. I'm sorry for that indiscretion. I'd rather accomplish the objective than to put it in the wrong, obviously the wrong place, so to speak.
Sure.
I do have two things just to bring up regarding conditions that were in both staff review for the CUP. Condition number 2 has essentially been addressed. The applicant has provided from their engineer revised site plan showing a pedestrian walkway from the row of parking on the north that will be striped to the south to connect to the sidewalk along the north side of the building. And addressed snow storage as well. So it doesn't matter if condition 2 is left in or not, because it's been addressed.
Mr. Chairman, if Warren is done, I have a question. Is
Yeah.
there supposed to be a bike path eventually along Main Street? That this north-south? Or is it just getting from the high school up to these two?
Oh, so the pedestrian access easement goes
Yeah.
from the high school to Leeds Lane. And I don't believe it goes through, no.
Okay. Okay, I just thought that somebody had laid out a bike plan for Main Street that we were trying to connect to. If that's not the case, what to deal with.
That would be something that the county would undertake, and
Right.
I'm not aware of anything currently.
Okay, that's my question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I also have a condition number 3, that a final landscape plan depicting appropriate screening on all sides of the building per addendum E section 2 and ongoing maintenance of landscaping be submitted to the town planner for review and approval prior to issuance of the conditional use permit. There is a landscape plan in the packet materials, and the applicant has provided a rendering that I can bring up if needed, addressing what the intent is for the landscaping. So there were just some staffing issues over the holiday of getting something to the plan commission to address staff's comments prior to the meeting tonight. I believe the applicant has every intent to meet all of the design standard requirements. If the applicant wants to speak to that.
Sure. Again, Troy Melez with Quick Trip. Our landscape designer there had a baby. He was out on paternity leave over the holidays, so we didn't have time to get the
I assume it was his
updated
wife.
plan.
Yes, like that.
Correct. His wife, his family.
I just want to
Had to
make
be,
sure.
correct.
I want to put that in the minutes.
They made a movie about that. Detail.
Does anybody want that brought up or is everybody content?
No. Fine.
Anything else? Is there a motion on this item?
We're on this one or we're on, I'm confused because we went
See
back.
you, number 1.
Okay, then I'll make a motion for the conditional use permit for convenience store with fuel sales in the B4 commercial special use zoning district. Incorporating the planners and engineers' comments.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Ed, any final discussion? All in favor, say aye. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. We have the major grading conditional use permit. Anything from Mitch on that or? All right, is there a motion on this one?
I'll make a motion for approval of a major grading conditional use permit, the B4 commercial special use zoning district related to construction of a new convenience store with fuel sales incorporating engineers and planners' comments.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. And item 3 is a site plan of operation. Warren,
The plan commission should consider the proposed hours of operations. So they're requesting 24-hour operations at this particular store. The other items we addressed during the conditional use permit.
Okay, I'll do it. Approval of the site plan of operation for the 24/7 operation of a convenience store with fuel sales in the B4 commercial special use zoning district.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Nelson, is there any discussion on this?
Is that subject to planning and engineering?
Yes,
Yes.
and that did include 24-hour, 7-day operation. Just so it's clear.
Mr. Chairman, in the past, this has been a very contentious, hours of operation in terms of the facilities that are built within the town. Given the location of this particular facility, which is mainly an industrial area, I mean, we have a major railroad to the north, industrial parks, obviously, that this is located in, and then to the west, and obviously a high school to the south. The closest residential is quite some distance on the other side of Town Line Road in Menominee Falls. So in this instance, I don't see this as a issue. So I am certainly not opposed to the hours of operation as were mentioned in the application. Just for the record.
You could ask.
Nice tree.
So just so there's no confusion, this is where you could bring up the sign if you were of a mind to bring up the sign. We didn't want to tell you you couldn't bring up the sign. We were just recommending you not bring it up under the conditional use. Believe that's correct, Administrator, that's what you did?
Correct, if we were gonna discuss it, but it's not, they're not requesting a sign at this point. They have to put in a sign application. They haven't done that. So they'll come back to the plan commission to do that in the future. All
Yeah, we
Oh,
don't
okay.
do sign thing.
Yeah, so
right, then yes, we need to discuss this.
we do a boilerplate condition that says any business signage shall be required to obtain signage approval through the town of Lisbon sign application process.
Okay. So,
And let me just make one point before you,
anyway,
we still are approving this plan. And they have to be in substantial compliance with this plan. If this plan has detailed signs on it and they're dramatically different, you know, I don't think the staff can prove them if this is substantially different than the town. If these conditions said we're approving their plan. Subject to complying with all times, documents presented to the town of Lisbon Planning.
But they can approve with the exception of the sign, location and size.
Sure, I'm just wanted to make it clear though that if the staff is approving it and it's substantially different than these plans, I would have to recommend they have to come back to the plan commission because you're approving it based on what you saw. All of that is precursor to your discussion, Mr. Commissioner, so I think we'll turn it over to you.
I would surely love to see a monument sign and I'm sorry, I thought I saw in this, because we had a lot of paper this time. And I'm fairly sure I saw a pole sign that was in this, embedded in all the material we did receive.
Yeah, this last page.
Last page, okay, so I wasn't imagining things. All right. I would certainly, again, I'm asking, or I know I'm requesting a monument sign. I don't know how the other commissioners feel about this. I just, given that area, I think a monument sign would be more than adequate because the general slope as you're heading towards Town Line Road is flat to a little bit downhill heading east. So I mean, in essence, given drivers, you know, your range of focus, because most people, you know where your stations are anyway. They're going to see that monument sign, not necessarily a pole sign. And again, a monument sign for me would just look better in that area. I don't know how other commissioners feel about that, but
Troy? Chairman?
I guess part of the logic we had here with the taller sign was the particular location of the sign in relation to the corner and the stoplight with the bridge going under.
right.
We wanted folks to be able to see a little bit from that corner to see around and how do I get into the Quick Trip? Obviously, we're going to be several hundred feet west.
Understood.
And part of it is, right now, we don't have signage on the Leeds and Town Line intersection to the south and to the west. So part of the logic here was to have that sign possibly that you could either incorporate an off-site sign at that location in the future. That might be a shorter monument sign. We worked with our neighbors that are acquiring the property to the east. We haven't had success in our discussions with them to this point. But part of the logic with the taller sign up on Main was to the north, you've got the railroad track. Farther to the west, you've got the industrial that, again, we're trying to attract a little bit here to the folks in the business park that are also coming to this development. We thought having that taller sign would also be available for them to see, even if they're coming from Sussex, Quad Graphics and whatnot, a little bit of the visibility of how do you get into where our new facility would be here.
Well, I understand that. If my request is not accepted, I would then, in terms of the whole sign, I'm sorry, but just to have a shaft metal on either sides of the sign, to me, is just cheesy.
I don't think. you-
And I would ask that you at least brick to the bottom of that sign. Okay, because I don't know how many feet, I mean, is it 20? I know we have obviously sign ordinances and I don't know how high.
Full
I
sign
do not remember how high this sign is going to be,
30 feet.
30 feet?
We could certainly stipulate that we would brick the poles. I think we've done that in the past.
Okay, because you know what I'm saying, I
Correct.
just, that the metal supports, no. But I realize it has to have that to hold up,
Correct.
and plus to run the conduit, et cetera. So,
I guess if it's fair to the commission, we'd stipulate that we would add bricking to the pole base to make sure it matches the columns, the rest of the brick on it.
the reason I push these things is, for example, obviously, yours is an up and progressing company. You have 2 or 3 other locations within the town. They all are major egress or egress points within our community. And therefore, they become signatures of our community, especially the station that's on 164 and Q. I mean, thousands of people see that station every day. So I want both Quick Trip and us to put our best foot forward, as far as our presence is concerned and what people see. So that's why I'm
So, Attorney Mason.
fixing on this, so to speak. How do other commission members feel about that? Any objection?
I have no objection.
Okay.
Anything, Jeff?
I concur with that. I think we want that corner looking as nice as possible.
Go.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Brian?
I'm fine with it too.
Becky?
I'm fine with it, with the brick.
So my
Around it.
question is gonna be, does this sign comply with the chapter 18 land division and development ordinance in the village of Sussex, like we agreed in our border agreement?
Which is our design standards.
So the signage section 5 of the design guidelines says that the intent is to develop quality signs that promote the development patterns of the area, assist with the architectural feel of the neighborhoods the sign will be located in. The standards apply in the special use districts, which this is the gateway area. So the general signage, architectural and design standards say that the town standards take precedence over any national or regional branding. Signs shall be coordinated with the architecture of the building and with each other, if there's multiple signs on a site.
Right, Troy, the sign you have on KN 164 is a monument sign, correct? And would be considered a gateway area to Sussex. So would you consider doing a monument sign if you can get a monument sign on the other side on Town Line as well?
Yeah, I think we'd be happy to work with, if we could get something out on
Town Line and Leeds.
Town Line Leads that would give people an idea that we're coming from the south, a little bit easier view.
I
That would
think,
be helpful.
And And
I
then we
think we
can
need to
stick with
coordinate the signage property to the east of you between you and Town Line Road with your signage, so it's similar, which should take care of everything. I know we're dealing
Well,
with.
but we're gonna have to talk about it in the case that that might not happen,
Right,
because we can't tell that property owner that he has to do
what to
it.
do.
right,
I think part of the challenge for us is we have a timeline and other
right.
people's timeline might not be our timeline. So we don't want to get stuck on
So we need
an
to,
unknown timeline.
so I guess the preference would be to have a monument sign on the corner.
Right.
But if that isn't possible and they need to do another sign, is this what makes this acceptable? And if bricking it up like you did with the gas station poles, is it, if that's what the commission's okay with and that passes through Sussex, and that's okay, I don't see a problem with it either, but is the commission okay with that?
I am.
As a commissioner that brought up yes, I am. I mean, I don't love full signs, that's obvious, as the commission knows. But in this case, this is an upgrade. I'm fine with it.
A lot of brick. 20 feet of brick.
Well, we could do like a 9 feet height, kind of a height that would kind of go in line with what we've done in the past in certain situations. So it kind of has a base to it, but not a
Let's say,
I
crazy.
just
crazy
don't know if
amount.
that's doable.
is
I
this
guess.
something that he can work with staff on?
I don't know if it has to be, is it considered substantial change?
Is our sign ordinance something that the plan commission approves?
No,
Okay, so,
but they submitted a sign plan with their site plan and plan of operation.
right,
And we have a condition that says they have to live with those plans. So you have to change something if you're gonna, and that's
can
why
we
it's.
remove it from the
I
plan?
don't want to have an ambiguity in the approval.
Can they remove it from the plan so they approve the plans with the exclusion of the sign?
I mean, the commission's okay with what they discussed for the sign right now. You would rather have the sign on the corner, I'm assuming.
Our thought was if you could have 2 signs, one on that corner where we're showing in the packet on our property.
Mhm.
That would be visible that you could see. I know when you come south on Town Line under the bridge, it's a little bit tricky to see around the corner and when we're there, having that taller sign would help people to see, okay, I take a right on Main Street and then I come to the new Leeds lane, I take a left and that's how I get in. If they're coming south from Sussex Hamilton or Silver Spring and they're heading north, we would not have signage at Town Line and Leeds near the Pizza Ranch. Our idea would be is if we could have a second sign out there that would be shared if they built something in the future.
But you could always come back and ask for that in the future.
Correct.
So why don't we just do this in 2 steps, say that we'll have the elevated sign with a 10-foot masonry base. And that will be the change for the site plan and plan of operation for today. And in the future, if you work something out with your neighbor for a joint sign or something, you can come back jointly for that at that time. And that way we're not holding up either development.
I'm in agreement. I'd make that motion if I was you.
But it may not, I just don't want, if this is plan commission, Kathy's made several suggestions.
Yeah.
We can make more. Off-premise signs may not be allowed by our code. I don't want to mislead anybody. There are very few communities that I know of, especially of the 60 we represent, that allow off-premise signs, period. This would be an off-premise sign if it's on the corner. So let's not mislead anybody here.
That's a very good point, Mr. Mason.
Not would be on somebody else's property.
But it doesn't preclude us to take care of this elevated sign with masonry, partial columns, and deal with that tonight. And in the future, we can deal with this other thing. And if it's not allowed, it's not allowed. I just want to move this project along, not hold it up for something in the future. I understand the reasoning to have something near Leeds Lane and Town Line, but if we can't do it for this development, we can't do it.
Well, do we know, I don't know if we can get an answer on our code, if we can have an off-premise sign?
Right.
I mean, that's
It's
not being
something staff
proposed here
has to
tonight,
look-
but I guess it's in relation to this.
Orin's got the ordinance in front of them.
But if we could, approve without the sign, then let staff work with the applicant on signage, because we also have to work with Sussex to make sure that it all falls into. So we can look at, we can review off-site signs at that time, and we can look at pole sign structure or just monuments.
Yeah.
On both sides, which
Mhm.
would be preferable to see monuments in both on both parts of our park.
I would be very surprised if Sussex was okay with this, even with the masonry going up. And if we approve it and they say no, it's just no. That's what it comes down. I mean, we could go to have a dispute over it and there's a process, but it's
Unnecessary.
right. No reason to.
Yeah.
So can we approve this without the sign then?
You can, you just have to say whether you want it to come back to you, whether you want the staff, you've got to give guidance on what it means when you approve it without the sign. I guess if you approve it without the sign, you'd have to modify that condition that I just referred to. And then you'd have to decide whether you want it back before yourselves or whether you want the staff to approve it. The condition, I thought it was 2, but there was.
Final site plan.
Just while John's looking that up. Is
Four.
Sussex review and or approval of the signage a staff thing on their part, or does that? I don't know what the exact agreement is between the town and the village. What I'm getting
think-
at is, can the town staff and the village staff work
Discuss,
this
yes.
out, or does this have to go
Right.
to the plan commission at the village?
We can work with, I can work with the staff over there.
Shall comply with all the plans and documents presented. Yeah. So much.
Documents as presented.
I think that except for. So to answer Commissioner Everly's question, the town agreed to certain standards in certain locations. They're very limited, and this may be the last time it comes up. I don't want to say that unequivocally, but this may be the last of the 4 undeveloped sections, Kathy. It's pretty narrow at what's left to be developed. And it's just, we have to comply. And we, as a courtesy, Kathy sends over the plans to the administrator, and he has, in every other instance that we've sent, he said, yes, we find that they
Or
are in
changes,
compliance. It hasn't been an issue so far. I'm not saying this would or would not be approved. I don't want to prejudge it, but that's the process. It doesn't
Okay.
go to a body in Sussex or
Okay.
anything.
And
If
we've-
there got to be that they couldn't work it out, as the chairman has indicated, I guess, there's a process that
Right.
we could work through and
Right.
negotiate that. But the actual process is, as a courtesy, I mean, we wouldn't even, I don't think the process says we have to send it to them. It just says we have to comply with the design standard, correct?
We'd want it.
But we do. I talked to Jeremy.
And we do. I mean, we do so that there won't be any
Right.
issue. So I'm telling you the rule, and then I'm telling you the practical way the rule has been followed. Is that helpful?
Yes.
And
Yes.
changes have been made in the past on things from
Then-
Sussex, so,
Did I make the motion for this?
yes.
Made it and
so.
seconded.
Okay, then I would like to amend my original motion to delete the signage portion of the submittal and have the staff, the town staff, work with village staff on the review of the signage for this parcel.
And the petitioner?
And then just bring it back to the plan commission for informational
Plan Commission
purposes
doesn't
sometime
work.
when it's done.
So the plan commission isn't, the signage doesn't normally
That's
go
right.
through the,
We pulled that out.
right,
This is making me
we can stay with staff.
Yes, that's fine.
And I would just ask that the motion also reflect the a waiver to parking in the street yard.
Yes. Correct.
And the
So-
24-hour.
Whoever seconded that has to,
Ed,
you agree?
I agree. I'm in agreement. Yes.
I beat him to death. Okay.
thank you.
All right, motion's made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. So
Take
like
that.
5.5 years less than the last one. Took like 5.5 years less than the last one.
I know.
I think so.
Okay, now we'll go on to 5 unfinished business. A, discussion and necessary action regarding the request by applicant Jeff Osgood Quick Trip Inc. for an extension to the conditional use permit to allow major grading in the B2 zoning district on the property located at North 67 West 27619 Silver Spring Drive, LSBT 0219.994.008. Warren.
This item's been before the plan commission previously and is back. The issue is that the developer still hasn't pulled the trigger on doing major grading or building this gas station at this particular location. So in the past, when this came before the plan commission, it was for a determination as to whether or not the use had commenced. And the discussion was that essentially enough had happened and there was no action taken that was in 2021, I believe.
Correct.
And so, we have received some materials from the applicant indicating a construction schedule whereby this project would start in March of 2023. Maybe the applicant can speak as to whether or not that's still their plans.
Troy Muzzle, a Quick Trip, yeah, that's still the plan.
So it's here tonight, just, we may have jumped the gun. The staff was not comfortable saying that they had commenced. By the minimal amount of stuff that had occurred. They did soil testing, they did some grading. I don't want to undermine what they did, but we didn't think that really met the intent of the time limit. And so they're here to ask for an extension of that time limit, correct?
Correct.
Isn't that your understanding, Orin, or?
Well,
Just the determination. I think it's just, we're asking the plan to determine if what they did was enough.
correct, because if we're going to go the route of an extension, the code prescribes that it go back through the original approval process, which would include a public hearing, and we'd have to have it on in that shape on the agenda. And so they would have to request an extension. They would have to go back through that process that it was originally approved in. If we're going the route of it.
Determination to say that they have to reapply. So as long as the plan commission feels that the work that was done,
Yeah.
as long as the plan commission feels that the work that they've done started the commencement, they can just keep moving on. But if you feel that enough isn't done, then we have to go and start the whole conditional use process over.
Mr.
We have to
Chairman,
terminate it and then we have to start the conditional use over.
I personally am comfortable with what started and with the statement by the developer that they are going to commence excavation in March of this calendar year. I'm fine with them with saying that they have commenced construction within the time limit that was granted them initially. If it's not gonna happen in March, then you're gonna have to, I'm just speaking for myself, then you're gonna have to come back.
Okay, Jeff?
Mr. Chairman, our zoning code 4G sub 1D reads, an applicant may request that the plan commission grant an extension for justifiable reasons. I'd like to know what your justifiable reasons are for the long delay in commencement of this project.
Sure. Thanks for the time. Again, Troy Malezaba, Quick Trip 1626 Oak Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin. The initial delay was during the COVID shutdown. So we postponed this project during COVID. And then last year, once we got going on our construction schedule, there were supply chain issues with particular items. Some of our cooler items with chips and our underground fuel tanks. And with other projects commenced already, this one, because it was already operational, had facilities, we delayed that project. So that is the reason we delayed it. Now we know what we have those items available. We can commence construction, and that's the reason we asked for the extension.
Will you be pulling a building permit prior to March?
I believe that application is in process right now, so I think that part of the process would be in by March.
Thank you.
Yes, I actually have the permit all ready to go. It's waiting on what's determined at this meeting. So it's already been applied for and it's actually ready to go.
Commissioner, it was also forwarded to the fire inspector for fire inspection on the plans as well. I was CC'd on that email.
And just one more thing, they are up to date with their county permits. They are up to date with their state plans. They're up to date with everything else. The only thing is what's determined here.
Do we need a motion on this or just the minutes? Okay.
Yeah, there'd essentially be no action because the discussion was that they've done enough to commence the use and it can continue.
Everybody all right with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Becky, all right.
Yes.
Is the attorney okay with that?
With no motion,
Yeah.
what is the condition of the?
Says discussing the necessary action. Oh, that could be.
Generally, I prefer that there be a motion in case someone questions it,
Yeah.
you know, at a later date, that the majority were in agreement, so to be honest with you, I'd be more comfortable.
I'll make-
That the plan commission has made a determination that the substantial progress has been made and, you know, they can proceed.
I'll make sure
moved.
the minutes reflect that.
Joe.
Joe.
Keep it. Everybody.
I'll second.
Ryan.
You
You're good.
You got what you need.
Fine.
Okay.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Item B then, discussion necessary action to approve resolution 2023-01 in support of the previously recommended approval of proposed update to the Town of Lisbon Comprehensive Plan to remove the INRA designation from parcel LSBT 0244.999.001 located at West 220 North 5859 Town Line Road. Morning.
This is back with a resolution. No changes.
Comments or questions? No.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a motion on the resolution?
Go for it, Joe.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2023-01. And do I have to?
Nope.
That's it.
And recommend approval to the town board?
No.
We don't have to do that?
Nope.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ed.
Sorry, Brian.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Item 6, plan report.
We have two items that we're anticipating for our upcoming meeting in February. That would be a major grading permit from Sharp would be the applicant that's associated with the creation of a pond on their single-family residential property. And then Level Headed Mud Jackers has submitted for a site plan of operation resubmittal. So they're going to be coming back with the same plan you've already seen based on the recent text amendment that was adopted in the not too distant past. That's all I have.
It. Any questions?
I just have one. What is because I've never confronted this in this plan commission. Is there any way that, we just passed this resolution regarding that INRA. With regard to that project, what is the proper procedure for contacting that property owner concerning their lack of progress on what was approved. I've been by that site and I've been on that site and they haven't done really some initial landscaping, including they partially cut in a road that lined up with, as approved with Menominee Falls Street, and they haven't done anything.
So I have spoken with the property owner, but it is something that if you'd like us to bring it back to the plan commission to consider termination of their CU after a year of non-use, that is, we can bring it back at the next meeting, but it's not on this agenda.
I would like to see some type of action and response from that property owner when they're gonna do something that we don't sit here a year from now and it still isn't done. Please. Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Next, is item 7, adjournment.
It's 8:48, so.
Going 7:44.
I told you we'd
be out at quarter to 9.
And I
Actually,
second that.
Made the motion.
I did.
Joe did. I was
Second.
second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? We're on at 7:50.
Alicia, you want?
Lisa.